Hello, I'm Dan Licence. I'm joined here today by Paul Berry. Paul has a background as a financial trader. He's also a performance coach and mindfulness teacher. So Paul, hello.
Morning.
Hiya. So you go into businesses and give talks. Can you tell us a bit more about what it is you actually do?
Yeah, sure. So my work tends to focus on improving performance, and that covers a vast array of areas. So everything from individual performance, how do you actually get better at what you do, to team performance. So the talks tend to focus on those areas, and they tend to be in high performance fields. And with high performance fields, you get a lot of pressure. And with pressure comes stress, and so a lot of these talks tend to veer towards helping people cope well with stress, manage stress, become more resilient to stress, so they can focus on what they need to focus on in the moment to improve performance.
Brilliant. And one of the techniques you use for that is mindfulness.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that mindfulness has become quite a popular term recently, but I'm not sure a lot of people actually know what it is. Can you describe in your own terms what mindfulness is?
Mindfulness is a form of meditation,
Right.
that comes from Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
And the term mindfulness actually derives from a Pali word called sati, which means awareness. Awareness stroke memory, but more so awareness. So what we mean by this is being aware of everything that's going on with you right now. So are you aware of how you're feeling, how your thoughts are, and how you're behaving? And really it's very useful because most of us tend to work on automatic pilot. We just go through our lives without really thinking about much, and that's very useful for us. But what happens is that we get into habits and certain ways of thinking and behaving that sometimes can be quite unhelpful for us, especially when it comes to stress and anxiety. And when we become anxious, we adopt quite unhelpful thinking patterns. And mindfulness is a way to become really aware of what those patterns are and to catch them in the moment before they take us down a route that is unhelpful for us.
Brilliant. So if someone's looking to get a start in mindfulness, what would be a good starting point?
A great way to start practicing mindfulness is actually to do really small things. So I would recommend pick 3 things you do on a daily basis. Perhaps brushing your teeth, eating a meal, or walking. If you walk to school or you take the tube, perhaps between tube stops, and just to focus in that, choose to focus in that moment on what's happening when you're doing that. So when you're brushing your teeth, just focus on what's happening when you brush your teeth. The taste of the toothpaste. Maybe things that you're thinking when you're brushing your teeth. Maybe you're falling asleep because you're so tired. Or how you stand, you lean on one leg or another leg. And just to bring all your attention just to those couple of minutes when you brush your teeth. Or if you're in the shower. And these are really simple ways to start bringing awareness to what you do. You could eat a meal and choose one meal, perhaps either ideally per day, but if that's too ambitious, maybe pick a couple of meals during the week where all you do is focus on what you're eating. So you don't have the TV on, you're not talking to other people, you're not on your phone or on a tablet, and you're just focusing on experiencing the meal. Another more formal practice would be just to set a time, perhaps on your phone, for 1 minute, and just focus on your breathing. You're not trying to change your breathing, you're not trying to achieve anything actually, you just want to focus on your breathing. Just notice how the air goes in through your nostrils, your belly expand, maybe you can feel your rib cage when your belly expands. Notice anything there is to notice in 1 minute. And that is a way not only to bring awareness to things, but actually it trains our concentration. Because who cares about being able to focus on your breathing? It's a completely useless skill. But what it does is it starts to help you focus on something and not get distracted. Because when we get stressed, our attention gets pulled in all sorts of different directions, and we kind of find it very difficult to focus, which is especially relevant for children studying for exams.
Exactly, yeah, which leads me on to my next question. As a performance coach, obviously you deal a lot with high stress situations and how people can manage them. With exams coming up, what would be some good techniques that students could use?
Yeah, so you're right, exams are very stressful, and I think the first point that people should note is that it's all right to be anxious. You're anxious for a reason, and it means that something matters to you, and it motivates you to study and to work. If you were never anxious about anything, you would just not be bothered, you wouldn't do anything. So it's okay to be anxious. A lot of the problems people have with anxiety and stress is they actually don't like the feeling of being anxious, and that's what makes them even more stressed. So keep that in mind, and students, I would suggest, have an overarching consideration to, am I doing everything that can be done to help me perform at my best under exam conditions? So that is obviously, knowing the content of your course material and revising, but it's much more than that. It involves things like your food. Are you giving yourself good nutrition? Do you sleep well? Are you focusing on rewarding yourself when you've studied hard and having good downtime? So it's not just about the intensity and quantity of how much you've studied. People who perform in high performance fields, like elite athletes, they don't just focus on how much they train, they focus on their rest time as well. That's really important. And the best way to cope with anxiety and stress is to put yourself under a lot of stress. And what I mean by that is, when you revise, you need to practice and prepare in a way that we call high fidelity preparation. So preparation is real life. So if you are taking a mock exam, create the conditions that are very similar to an exam condition when you do that mock exam. So dress as you will for your exam. Maybe ideally do that mock exam at the same time of day that you would do the actual exam. Have the same breakfast. If the mock exam is for an hour and a half, make yourself do that exam in an hour and 15 minutes. So put yourself under more pressure when you're practicing than you will be put under in the actual exam conditions. And when you do that, you're much more likely to be able to perform well when the real life exam happens, because you've experienced more pressure than they're going to put you under.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing of any sort of what we call stress inoculation training. When you do that, you immunise yourself to stress. You become so great at handling pressure that it doesn't lead to stress. And the other point to note is always be aware where your stress comes from. So a lot of this comes from expectations of other people, maybe parents, but also our own internal expectations. And that can create a huge amount of anxiety, these thoughts of, what if I fail, life is over, I won't get into a university I want to get into, or the future's bleak. A really important point to note is that things are never as bad in the moment as you believe them to be. Yeah. And that's very difficult for a student, because you haven't had much experience of life. But as you progress through life, a lesson you'll learn is that when you're really anxious, it's never as bad as it seems to be, and it is never the end of the world. And having that perspective and wisdom at a young age can actually help reduce the stress that you feel, because you feel under less pressure. Doesn't mean that you won't work as hard or as intensively and won't be as committed to getting the grade you want, but it means that pressure is less likely to inhibit you in performing really well.
That's a great point. So Paul, thanks a lot for coming. If people want to find out more about you and your services, where can they go to?
Well, my website is humanperformancescience.co.uk. Yeah, please get in touch.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks a lot.